Gopi Janavalabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Radhacaran Ranjana Yashodanandana Radhacaran Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavalabha Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Radhacaran Ranjana Yashodanandana Radhacaran Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrāja Kacharasatara Satasya Śrimad Divine Grace Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Grantara Śrimad Bhagāvatam Ki Go Premanam All glories to the Assembled Devotee Glories to the Assembled Devotee All glories to the Assembled Devotee All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaura Do they know there's no Mandarin translation?
They can understand Cantonese.
Who will translate?
No,
They understand Cantonese. No need for translation to Mandarin. Yeah.
Oh,
I
they're
asked
just
them.
neighbors, right? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We are reading this morning from Śrimad Bhagāvatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5. This chapter is entitled Narada's Instruction on Śrimad Bhagāvatam.
我哋今日繼續閱讀聖典博加談第一篇第5章。咁呢一章嘅題目咧就係 Śrimad Muni 就聖典博加談給 Vyasadeva 嘅指示。
So this is text number 26.
咁我哋會閱讀第26節。
Okay.
26。
You have the they just,
Now we don't have the electronic version.
okay.
Yeah, everyone has the electronic version.
All right.
第一篇第5章第26。
Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Pragayatam
Tatvagam Krishna Kata Pragayatam
Anugrahanasya Sharanam Manohara.
Anugrahana Street Navam Manohara.
I can't read. I can't read. It's amazing.
Use mine.
No,
But give it back to me after the
sorry.
Too small.
I don't have I can't see with this.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the iPhone and iPad.
Tashradayame Nupudham Vishrindvata
Tasradayame Nupadam Vishnavata
Priya Shravasyanga Mama Bhavadruchihi
Priyavasyanga Mama Bhavadruchihi
Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Pragayatam
Tatravaham Krishna Kata Prakayatam
Anugrahayana Shrindvatam Manoharaha
Anugrahana Shrinavam Manoharaha
Tashradayame Nupala Vishrindvataha
Tasradayame Nupadam Vishnavata
Priya Shravasyanga Mama Bhavadruchihi
Priya Sravasyanga Mama Bhavadruchihi
Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Pragayatam
Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Prakayatam
Hinas Narvam Manohara
Anugrahana Srinavam Manoharaha
Tasradayami Nupadam Visrinvata
Tasradayame Nupadam Visravata
Priya Sravasyanga Mama Badruti
Priya Sravasyanga Mama Bhavadruchihi Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Pragayatam
Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Pragayatam
Anugrahana Srinavam Manoharaha
Anugrahinas Sarvam Manohara
Tasradayame Nupadam Visrivataha
Tasradayami Nupadam Visrivata
Priyasravasya Yika Mama Bhavadruchihi
Priya Sravasyanga Mama Badruti
Tatra,
Tatra
thereupon,
因此
anu,
Anu
every day.
每天
You're supposed to repeat.
but it's difficult for them to repeat anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Aham,
Aham
I,
我
Krishna Katha,
Krishna Katha
narration of Lord Krishna's activities.
Narration of Lord Krishna's activities.
對主 Krishna 種種活動的描述
Pragayatam,
Bhagāvatam
describing.
描述
Anugrahena, by causeless mercy.
沒有緣故的仁慈
Ashrinavam, giving oral reception.
聆聽
Manaha ahara,
Manaharaha
attractive.
有吸引力的
Ta,
他
those.
那些
Shradaya,
Sradaya
respectfully.
恭敬地
May
未
unto me.
向我
Anupadam,
Anupadam
every step.
每一步
Vishrunata,
Vishuvataha
hearing attentively.
專心地聆聽
Priya Shravasi,
Priya Sravasi
of the personality of Godhead.
人格守神的
Anga,
Anga
O Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva 我
Mama,
媽媽
my.
我的
Abhavat,
Abhavat
it so became.
這樣變成
Ruchihi,
Ruchihi
taste.
Taste 趣味
Translation. O Vyasadeva, in that association, and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, as I listened attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step.
譯文Vyasadeva 在那次聯誼中，憑藉那些偉大的維丹塔主義者的仁慈，我能聆聽他們描述主 Krishna 魅力四射的活動，這樣聚精會神的傾聽，使我越來越喜愛聆聽有關人格守神的一切。
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai. Lord Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in His personal features, but also in His transcendental activities. It is so because the Absolute is absolute by His name, fame, form, pastime, entourage, paraphernalia, etc. The Lord descends to this material world out of His causeless mercy and displays His various transcendental pastime as a human being, so that human beings attracted towards Him become able to go back to Godhead. Men are naturally apt to hear histories and narration of various personalities performing mundane activities, without knowing that by such association one simply wastes valuable time and also becomes addicted to the three qualities of mundane nature. Instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastime of the Lord. By hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the personality of Godhead, and, as explained before, when one hears about the personality of Godhead, all accumulated sins of the mundane creature are cleared from within. Thus, being cleared of all sins, the hearer gradually becomes liberated from mundane association and becomes attracted to the features of the Lord. Narada Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. Narada Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge, and unfathomed bliss, and he can travel all over the material and spiritual world without restriction. One can attain the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right sources, as Narada heard them from the pure devotee Bhaktivedantas in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of the devotees is especially recommended in this age of quarrel, Kali.
要指絕對人格守神主 Krishna 嘅魅力不只限於他個人嘅形象特徵，還有他超然嘅活動。絕對者，他嘅名字、聲望、形象、娛樂活動、隨行人員和個人用品等一切都是絕對的。至尊主出於他沒有緣故嘅仁慈，降臨這個物質世界，以人類中嘅一員嘅角色展出他各種各樣超然嘅娛樂活動，以使受他吸引嘅人們能夠回歸守神。那人類天生就喜歡聽歷史和對各種人物從事世俗活動嘅描述，但卻不知道這樣嘅接觸只會使人浪費寶貴嘅時間，並深陷物質自然三種屬性而不可自拔。與其這樣浪費時間，不如把注意力轉移到至尊主超然嘅娛樂活動上。這樣做可以使人獲得靈性嘅成功。通過聆聽對至尊主娛樂活動嘅描述，人直接與人格守神接觸上。而且，正如前面解釋過的，聆聽有關人格守神嘅一切，物質世界裏受制約嘅靈魂所積累嘅一切罪惡，都可以從內在連根拔除。這樣清除了一切罪惡嘅聆聽者，就會逐漸擺脫物質執着，變得越來越受至尊主嘅吸引。Narada Muni 用他個人嘅體驗解釋了這一點。結論是，聆聽對至尊主嘅娛樂活動嘅描述，可以使人成為至尊主嘅同伴之一。Narada Muni 獲得了永生、無盡嘅知識和無限嘅極樂，他可以不受限制地遊遍物質世界和靈性世界，聚精會神地聆聽真正嘅權威講述至尊主超然嘅娛樂活動，可以使我們達到人生最高嘅完美境界。就像 Narada Muni 在他的前世曾經聆聽純粹奉獻者 Bhaktivedanta 嘅描述一樣。在這個紛爭卡利嘅年代裏，經典特別推薦了這個在與奉獻者聯誼嘅情況下聆聽的程序。
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Shayan Rupakadamayam Darati Swapadantikam Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschyacha Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. You got
The sun will move.
you got the wrong window here.
It's facing east. Next time we can set you over that side.
Okay. Thank you. So there are 3 chapters in this first canto, chapter 4, chapter 5, and chapter 6 that are dedicated to Narada Muni.
咁咧喺聖典博迦談第一篇入邊咧有3章咧係關於 Narada Muni 嘅，就係第4、第5、第6章。
He is given as the perfect example of someone who has achieved the highest perfection.
咁咧佢咧就係作為一個咧係最好嘅例子啦，就係講述出一個人咧係達到最高嘅完美。
Narada Muni is an eternal associate of Krishna.
咁 Narada Muni 咧係 Krishna 嘅一個永恆嘅同伴。
His position in the material world is to teach Krishna consciousness to the conditioned soul.
咁佢喺呢個物質世界嘅服務咧，就係咧教導呢個受條件制約嘅靈魂呢一個 Krishna 知覺。
He is the son of Lord Brahma,
佢咧係主 Brahma 嘅兒子，
but his birth was not conceived between mother and father.
咁但係佢嘅出生咧並唔係由父親母親結合而出生嘅。
Lord Brahma had 10 sons.
咁主 Brahma 咧有10個兒子，
So Narada Muni is one of them.
咁 Narada Muni 係其中一個。
And even though he is an eternal associate of Krishna, he comes to this material world in order to assist Lord Krishna in his pastime.
咁咧雖然佢係主 Krishna 嘅永恆嘅同伴啦，咁但係咧佢咧嚟到呢個物質世界咧係去幫助主 Krishna 去上演佢嘅逍遙時光。
There is something very interesting here that we should note, is that he is the spiritual master of Srila Vyasadeva.
咁有一個好有趣嘅一點，我哋要知道啦。Narada Muni 咧就係 Sri Vyasadeva 嘅靈性導師。
Now, in every Dwapara Yuga, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Srila Vyasadeva appears.
咁喺每一個 Dwapara Yuga，Dwapara 係應該同氣年代咧，咁咧喺呢個將近結束嘅時候咧 ，Vyasadeva 咧就會出現。
Most of the time, the Vyasadeva that appears just before Kali Yuga begins is a Shaktiavesh avatar, an empowered human being.
咁而 Vyasadeva 咧喺每一個卡利年代啱啱開始嘅時候顯現啦，咁佢咧就係一個咧係 Shaktiavesh avatar， 就係被賜予特別力量嘅一個人。
There are different types of avatar. Shaktiavesh is one who is empowered.
咁咧有唔同種類嘅化身啦 ，Krishna 佢有唔同種類嘅化身，咁而 Shaktiavesh 就係被賜予特別力量嘅呢一種嘅化身。
Like Lord Buddha is considered Shaktiavesh avatar.
咁就好似咧係佛陀啦，都係被視為咧係一個賦予特別力量嘅一個化身。
Parashuram is considered Shaktiavesh avatar.
咁咧 Parashuram 亦都係啦。
Prithu Maharaj is considered Shaktiavesh avatar.
咁咧 Prithu Maharaj 亦都係其中一個。
Means empowered for just one specific mission.
咁即係話咧呢啲人咧係被賦予特別嘅力量咧去達成一個特定嘅使命。
But these Vyasadeva, and oftentimes devotees, they give different version. These Vyasadeva is known as Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas.
咁但係呢一個 Vyasadeva 咧被稱為 Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas， 有特別嘅名嘅。
And it is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana that this Vyasadeva is not a Shaktiavesh avatar, he is directly Krishna himself.
哦，咁咧就喺帕瑪蓮花往世書入邊咧就係提到咧呢一個特別嘅 Vyasadeva 咧就唔係一個被賜予特別力量嘅 Krishna 嘅化身，而佢咧就係 Krishna 本人。
And yet he accepts Narada Muni as his spiritual master.
雖然如此啦，但佢咧係 Vyasadeva 咧係仍然咧係接受 Narada Muni 咧係做佢嘅靈性導師。
Narada Muni also has the ability to travel between the spiritual world and the material world freely.
咁而 Narada Muni 咧亦都有呢個特別嘅能量咧，就可以咧喺自由穿梭於呢個物質世界同埋靈性世界。
One moment he can be with Krishna in his pastime, next moment he can be with the conditioned soul.
咁咧呢一刻佢可以同 Krishna 喺佢嘅逍遙時光入邊咧係一直參與啦，但係下一刻咧佢就可以嚟到呢個物質世界同呢個受制約嘅靈魂喺埋一齊。
He is therefore known as the guru of all gurus.
咁所以咧佢被稱為咧係所有靈性導師嘅靈性導師。
But like every other personalities that come to this material world, especially acharyas, we know that they are eternal associates of Krishna.
咁就好似咧係其他嚟到呢個物質世界嘅呢啲嘅靈性導師呢之前嘅先師一樣啦，我哋知道咧佢其實咧係 Krishna 嘅永恆嘅同遊。
But they take the position of a conditioned soul.
但係佢哋咧係以一個受條件制約嘅靈魂嘅身份嚟到出現。
Why would they want to do that?
點解佢哋想咁樣做咧？
Because they want to teach us this is what you need to do if you want to attain perfection.
因為咧佢係嚟到教導我哋啦，如果你想達到完美嘅境界咧，你咧就應該咁樣做。
This is what I did to attain perfection, and I'm going to show you how you can attain perfection.
呢個咧係我可以達到完美境界嘅方法，我亦都會教你咧，你應該點樣去做。
So in this particular instance, he is teaching Srila Vyasadeva by giving his own personal example how he attained perfection.
咁所以喺呢度咧 ，Narada Muni 咧就向 Vyasadeva 咧講述佢點樣通過佢自己嘅經歷咧嚟到咧係達到呢個人生嘅完美。
So first in chapter 4, Narada Muni appears and he is asking Srila Vyasadeva, so are you satisfied with compiling the Vedas and the Puranas?
咁所以咧，首先咧喺第4章入邊咧，Narada Muni 咧就詢問 Vyasadeva 就話啊，你已經編撰晒所有嘅偉大經典啦，你開唔開心咧？你係咪覺得完全滿足咧？
And we know that Vyasadeva was not satisfied.
咁我哋知道咧 ，Vyasadeva 咧當時其實係唔滿足嘅。
So Narada Muni, as the guru, pointed to Vyasadeva that he missed describing the pastimes of Lord Krishna.
咁所以 Vyasadeva Narada Muni 咧作為呢個靈性導師，佢咧就係向 Vyasadeva 指出，你點解唔滿足？就係因為咧你冇直接去描述呢個至尊主 Krishna。
Srila Prabhupada explained that the duty of the spiritual master is first and foremost to correct the disciple.
咁咧，聖帕帕講過啦，呢個作為一個靈性導師咧，最重要佢嘅職責咧就係要指出佢嘅靈性、佢嘅門徒嘅呢個錯處，就咪去糾正佢哋。
And because it was at the junction between Dwapara and Kali Yuga, Narada Muni knew that it is very important for the people of Kali Yuga to get the right information.
咁因為當時咧係正值呢個銅器同埋鐵器年代嘅交接嘅時候啦，咁所以 Narada Muni 知道呢個係非常之重要嘅，對當時嘅人要等佢知道呢一點。
If the people of Kali Yuga are given access to the Vedas and the Puranas, they won't be able to attain perfection.
因為咧，如果喺卡年代嘅人，佢哋只係能夠接觸到呢個偉大經典啦，或者唔係呢啲往世書嘅話咧，呢啲人咧並唔可以得到咧係去到完美嘅境界。
You can say, but Krishna speaks the Vedas. How come you can't attain perfection by following the Vedas?
咁咧，你可以話啦 ，Krishna 偉大經典係 Krishna 所講嘅喎。咁如果人類去跟從呢啲偉大經典入面嘅教導，點解佢哋唔可以得到完美咧？
Because the majority of the content of the Vedas, it's only to maintain one's position in this material world without committing sinful activities.
因為咧喺絕大部分嘅偉大嘅經典入邊所講嘅嘢咧，都係咧就係教我哋咧點樣能夠喺呢個物質世界咧係維繫我哋嘅人生，但係咧就唔但係並唔係咧教我哋咧係達到完美嘅境界。
So there is Karma Kanda, that's the first section of the Vedas.
咁所以咧喺偉大經典第一步咧就係叫業報之步。
Is performing activities with material benefits.
咁咧佢所講咧就係我哋去從事一啲虔誠嘅活動啦，但係咧係得到啲物質嘅回報。
Then there is Jnana Kanda, cultivation of knowledge.
咁第二部分咧就係 Jnana Kanda 啦，就即係話咧係去培養我哋嘅知識。
And then there is Upasana Kanda, which deals with devotional service.
咁第三部分咧就Upanishad Kanda，咁咧就係點樣去培養我哋嘅奉愛。
So in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 15, Krishna says, Vedaishcha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid evachaham. I am the compiler of the Vedas.
咁所以咧喺博伽梵歌第15篇入邊咧Krishna 就咁樣講啦，我咧係呢個偉大經典嘅編撰者。
I am the speaker of the Vedas.
我咧係呢一個偉大經典嘅描述者。
But in the Vedas, there's only one objective, is to get to know me.
咁但係咧喺偉大經典咧入邊咧，只係得一個目的嘅啫，就係咧去明白、去了解我。
And he tells Arjuna at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Vishaya, he tells Arjuna, do not dwell on the modes of material nature because that's what you will find mostly in the Vedas.
咁咧，所以喺博伽梵歌開始嘅時候咧 ，Krishna 就同阿 Arjuna 講啦，唔好糾纏喺呢一個偉大經典入邊所講嘅嘢，因為咧你只會咧係揾到呢個物質世界入邊所描述嘅嘢。
Trigunya Vishaya Veda, Nishtrigunya Bhavarjuna, Niyadvanvo Nitasatvasto, Niryogakshema Atmavan. You have to rise above what the Vedas speak about.
你咧要咧超越偉大經典入邊所講嘅嘢。
And the only way you can do that is by paying attention to hearing the pastimes of Lord Krishna.
咁你唯一可以達到呢個目的嘅方法咧，就係去聆聽 Krishna 嘅逍遙時光。
So in the next chapter, in chapter 5, Narada Muni gives his own personal experience of what happened to him in the past life.
咁所以咧喺第5章入邊咧 ，Narada Muni 咧就向 Vyasadeva 講述咧佢自己嘅前世嘅經歷。
So who was Narada Muni before that?
咁咧 Narada Muni 嘅前世係邊一個咧？
Because in the past life, he tells Vyasadeva that he was the son of a maidservant.
咁 Narada Muni 咧就向 Vyasadeva 講述咧佢嘅前世咧，佢係一個女僕嘅兒子。
But how did he become the son of a maidservant? That means he became a Shudra.
咁但係佢點樣會成為一個女僕嘅兒子咧？即係話佢係一個樹陀。
Well, it's mentioned in the Puranas that before becoming the son of a maidservant, Narada Muni was known as Upabharana.
咁咧，原來喺成為一個女僕嘅兒子之前，在前一世咧 ，Narada Muni 咧係叫 Upabharana。 Upabharana。
Yes. He was a Gandhava. He was a celestial being, a very expert singer.
佢係一個 Gandhava 啦，咁即係一個天堂入邊嘅一個嘅係精通於唱歌嘅人。
And one time sages came into the celestial planets to do kirtan. But Upabharana, instead of doing kirtan, he started glorifying the demigods.
咁咧有一次啲聖人就去到呢個天堂星球咧，就做唱頌 kirtan。咁但係佢咧就冇，佢就唔係去榮耀至尊主，佢咧就去榮耀啲半神人。
So the sages, they cursed him. You don't want to do kirtan? You take birth as a Shudra.
跟住咧，呢啲聖人咧就詛咒佢啦。啊，你想係唱歌嘛？咁呢次咧，你就下一世你就去做一個樹陀啦 ，Sudra。
So you don't want to do kirtan? Take birth again in Shenzhen.
如果你唔想參與kirtan 咧，齊眾聖名咧，你下一世就喺深圳出世啦。
We don't want to do that. We want to do kirtan.
咁樣，但我哋唔想呢樣嘢發生嘅，我哋想參加 kirtan。
As a matter of fact, Narada Muni had many different births.
咁即係話咧，其實 Narada Muni 咧好多唔同嘅出生。
And he also took position in many ways to witness the pastimes of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan.
佢亦都咧係有機會咧係親眼目睹咧係 Krishna 咧喺 Goloka Vrindavan 嘅呢一啲嘅逍遙時光。
But here we are concerned with what were the first steps that helped him on the path of bhakti.
咁但係我哋喺度講緊咧就係喺呢個奉愛嘅路途上面咧，第一步應該點樣做
So it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that there are 3 very powerful ways to attain perfection.
咁所以喺《人的主海坦人經》入邊咧，就有描述到咧有3個方法咧，令到我哋咧係好有力量嘅，能夠令到我哋咧達到完美。
One is to take the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee.
咁第一個咧就係咧要喺一個純粹嘅奉獻者嘅蓮花足上面咧得到佢哋嘅塵土。
For example, the devotees, when they go to Govardhan and they go on parikram, they like to roll in the dust because there are literally thousands of sadhus who step on that dust.
咁就好似咧係好多奉獻者去到 Vrindavan 聖地，佢哋去做繞拜聖地嘅時候咧，佢哋咧就會喺啲沙塵上面滾嚟滾去。咁因為咧理論上咧呢啲塵土咧就係俾無數嘅聖人咧所踏過嘅。
I know some devotees, they fly into Delhi, they go to Govardhan, they roll in the dust and they fly back.
咁我知道咧有啲奉獻者甚至咧就直接飛去德里，跟住咧就去到哥弗丹山，跟住喺哥弗丹山咧就係喺啲塵土上面滾嚟滾去啦，跟住就飛走啦。
They just cover themselves with dust.
佢哋咧就係將用呢啲塵土咧覆蓋自己。
Then they don't change the clothes. They want to keep the dust on the body.
佢哋咧唔會換衫嘅，就係將呢啲塵土咧直接帶走。
So the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee can give perfection.
咁呢啲純粹奉獻者蓮花足上面嘅塵土咧，能夠帶俾我哋完美。
But especially the dust of Vrindavan.
尤其是咧就係 Vrindavan 嘅塵土。
One speck of dust is more opulent, more powerful than the whole of Vaikuntha.
咁咧一粒喺呢個Vrindavan 嘅塵土咧，係比起成個Vaikuntha星球咧、無憂星球咧，係更加富裕、更加咧充滿咗力量。
Even though Vrindavan is a village setting,
雖然咧 Vrindavan 係一個鄉村嘅地方，
it is actually more opulent than the whole rest of the spiritual sky.
咁但係咧係其實 Vrindavan 咧係比整個嘅靈性世界咧係更加富裕。
And every speck of dust, any tiny bit of items contains the entire opulence of Vaikuntha.
咁咧一粒少少嘅 Vrindavan 嘅塵土啦，任何一個好微小嘅嘢咧，其實咧都係咧係充滿咗更加超越咧係整個Vaikuntha 嘅力量。
That's why Prabhupada sing Chintamani Prakarasan Mashu Kalpa Vriksha Lakshabriteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrasata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. When Prabhupada sings like this, it just directly from Goloka Vrindavan.
咁咧頭先係聖帕帕一個好喜愛、好常唱嘅一首讚歌啦。咁當聖帕帕咧係去唱呢首歌嘅時候咧，其實咧就係直接咧由 Goloka Vrindavan 咧係將呢個信息帶俾我哋。
Every speck of dust is Chintamani.
每一粒嘅 Vrindavan 嘅塵土咧都係呢個點金石 Chintamani。
It fulfills all spiritual desires.
佢咧會滿足我哋一切靈性嘅慾望。
Not material desires, spiritual desires.
並唔係咧物質嘅慾望，係靈性慾望。
The second most powerful, hey, Haribo, here. The second most powerful item that can bring perfection is the water that has washed the lotus feet of the pure devotee.
咁而第二樣能夠帶俾我哋完美嘅嘢咧，就係呢一啲係洗過呢個純粹奉獻者嘅蓮花足嘅水。
So this is a common tradition in Vaishnav culture that when the pure devotee comes, you wash his lotus feet.
咁咧呢個亦都係愛斯納亞嘅一個嘅傳統啦，就係當一個純粹奉獻者嚟到嘅時候咧，你就會幫佢洗腳。
In the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, also devotees used to wash his lotus feet and then they used to drink the water.
咁而喺主體日逍遙時光入邊咧，亦都係有同樣嘅逍遙時光發生嘅，就係咧當主體日出現嘅時候咧，奉獻者就幫佢洗腳，然之後就飲到呢啲水。
When Srila Prabhupada would arrive in one place after traveling, the devotees would wash his lotus feet.
咁所以當聖帕帕咧係旅行去到到達另外一個地方嘅時候咧，奉獻者亦都會幫聖帕帕洗腳。
And then they would drink the water.
跟住佢哋就會飲到呢啲洗過蓮花足嘅水。
But the thing is, this is Suryadev, thank you very much. She. But the thing is that when you take the dust of the feet of a pure devotee, or you drink the water that has washed the lotus feet of a pure devotee, you have to do it with faith.
咁所以咧但係有一點咧，就係當你去攞呢啲純粹奉獻者腳上面嘅塵土，同埋咧係飲佢哋洗過佢哋蓮花足嘅水嘅時候咧，你必須要有一點嘅，就係你要有呢個絕對嘅信心。
That's why we say Mahaprasade Govinde Namo Brahmane Vaishnave Svalpa Punyavatam Rajam Vishvai Soneva Jayate. Mahaprasad Govinde Nama, the name, and Brahman.
咁所以咧，我哋喺榮耀祭月之前，我哋會唱咧就係我哋呢啲係Mahaprasadam 啦、聖名啦，同埋咧婆羅門三樣嘢。
So this is mercy.
呢啲咧係仁慈。
But it has to be accepted with faith, otherwise no result.
但係我哋咧必須要充滿信心咁去接受啲仁慈，如果唔係咧就唔會得到應有嘅結果。
Shraddha is one of the two items that brings back to the spiritual world.
咁咧呢個Strada 即係我哋嘅信念、信心咧，係令到我哋咧係回歸靈性世界嘅一個嘅基礎。
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained there are two things that takes you from this material world into the spiritual world.
咁樣
One is Shraddha, faith, and the other is Sadhusanga, association with devotees.
咁咧 Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur佢就講到啦，有兩樣嘢咧可以令到我哋咧由呢個物質世界回歸呢個靈性世界。第一咧就係、我哋嘅信心啦、信念啦；第二樣咧就係、同奉獻者嘅聯誼。
And the third item that can bring one perfection if it is done with faith is to eat the remnants left by the pure devotee.
咁而第三樣能夠令到我哋達到完美咧，就係、如果我哋係充滿信心咁樣去做咧，就係咧係就係、榮耀呢啲聖人所食剩嘅呢個祭魚。
The dust, the water, and the Mahaprasadam.
咁咧就三樣嘢咧，就係佢哋純粹奉獻者腳上面嘅塵土啦。第二樣就係洗過佢哋嘅蓮花竹嘅水啦。第三樣咧就係佢哋食剩嘅祭魚。
One should never hesitate. There's no time, there's no place.
咁咧大家唔需要猶豫嘅係冇時間冇任何地點都可以。
I'll tell you a story,
咁我咧講個故事俾大家聽，
a true story.
一個真實嘅故事。
When Shrutakirti Prabhu used to travel with Srila Prabhupada by plane, they flew down to South America.
咁咧 Shrutakirti Prabhu 就係 Prabhupada 當時嘅僕人啦，佢咧就同聖 Prabhupada 一齊咧就係坐飛機去到 South Africa。South America 就係南美啊，去到南美嗰度。
So on the plane, Srila Prabhupada was served some prasadam.
咁咧就喺飛機上面咧，就佢哋就為 Prabhupada 咧係提供一啲祭魚啦。
Then when he finished, he gave to his servant, the Maha.
咁當聖 Prabhupada 即係榮耀完之後咧，就將剩翻嗰啲 Mahaprasadam 咧就俾咗佢嘅僕人。
So naturally, Srila Prabhupada and his servant, they stood out on the plane as being sadhus. They're not ordinary passengers.
咁所以好自然地咧，聖 Prabhupada 同佢嘅僕人咧就喺個飛機上面咧，就唔係一個普通人，大家都知道係一個聖人。
So the air hostess, she was walking in the aisle and she just went.
咁所以呢個空
She
中
grabbed the maha from Prabhupada to Shrutakirti, pum, into her mouth.
咁呢個空中小姐，咁佢咧就行過呢個即係個中間，即係個座位中間嗰度行啦。跟住當佢見到聖 Prabhupada 俾 Shrutakirti Prabhu 嘅呢個Mahaprasadam 啦，二話不說就真係等咗我個口度食咗。
And then the plane landed, they got off the plane and life went on.
咁咧跟住佢哋就到達啦，跟住就落機啦，就繼續佢哋嘅活動啦。
Many, many years later, one devotee came to Los Angeles and he saw Shrutakirti. He said, I've got to tell you something.
咁跟住咧，好多年之後咧，就喺洛杉磯嘅廟入邊咧，有個奉獻者就走去同 Shrutakirti Prabhu 講一樣，我要同你講一樣嘢。
We were doing book distribution in a very remote villages in South America.
咁當時咧，呢個奉獻者就話：我哋喺南美咧一個非常之偏僻嘅鄉村嗰度咧，係派緊書。
We knock on the door in one house.
咁我哋咧就喺其中一間屋嗰度咧就敲門。
One lady opened the door.
咁有一個女士咧就開門啦。
She was wearing sari and tilak.
佢咧喺度，佢當時咧係着住 sari 啦，就畫埋 tilak 嘅。
Oh, you're a devotee, you live here.
跟住咧個奉獻者就好驚訝啦！啊，你係一個奉獻者喎，點解你一個人住喺呢度咧？
So she invited devotee in.
於是咧佢就邀請奉獻者入去間屋度。
And he saw she had all of Prabhupada's books.
跟住佢咧就展示佢其實佢擁有咧係所有聖 Prabhupada 嘅書籍。
And when they got to talk, she told him that she used to work for that airline. She was a air hostess.
咁跟住咧，當佢哋喺度傾偈嘅時候咧，咁呢個女士就同佢啲奉獻者講：我咧其實咧係喺呢一間航空公司嗰度咧係做空姐嘅。
Understand?
Yeah, she's the one.
One moment taking Mahaprasad, boom.
咁咧就呢個係非常之重要一點就係，佢只係嗰一刻咧，佢食咗呢個空姐食咗聖 Prabhupada 嘅呢個嘅祭魚之後咧 ，Mahaprasadam 之後咧就變成咁樣啦。
There was another devotee which is related in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He used to hide behind devotees' home and he would wait for them to throw the leftover mangoes, the skin, the seed, and then he would eat just to get their mercy.
咁咧亦都喺《永恆的住咗坦日經》入邊咧，亦都有一個類似嘅逍遙時光啦，就係有個人咧就會匿埋喺奉獻者嘅屋後邊。咁咧當奉獻者咧將食剩嗰啲祭魚掉出嚟，譬如啲芒果核啊皮啊等等掉出嚟，即係垃圾咁掉出嚟嘅時候咧，呢個人咧就會執嚟到食。佢咧就係要用食咧呢一個奉獻者嘅祭魚。
So Mahaprasadam is very, very powerful.
咁所以咧 Bhagāvatam 咧係非常之充滿咗力量嘅。
And so is the dust, and so is the water.
咁同樣地，亦都係純粹奉獻者腳上邊嘅塵土啦，同埋洗過佢哋蓮花足嘅水。
We should never hesitate.
我哋咧完全唔需要猶豫嘅。
So that was the first step for Narada Muni as the son of a maid servant. He used to eat whatever the sadhus would leave on their plate.
咁所以呢個咧係 Narada Muni 當時咧係作為呢個女僕嘅兒子嘅身份嘅時候咧，佢第一樣會做嘅嘢就係榮耀咧呢啲聖人佢哋食剩嘅食物。
Normally, you're not supposed to leave prasadam on your plate.
咁咧，我哋其實應該咧我哋係唔應該咧係喺我哋嘅碟上面留低任何食剩嘅嘢嘅。
Sometimes devotees, they steal from each other's plate when there's a feast.
咁咧有陣時咧，奉獻者就係大餐嘅時候咧，就會喺隔離嘅奉獻者嗰度個碟嗰度咧偷一啲嘢嚟食。
In China, the devotees started spreading the rumor that if you eat the leftovers from a devotee, you're going to get heavy karma.
咁咧喺大陸咧有啲奉獻者就有啲即係謠言啦，就話咧，如果你食人哋奉獻者碟上面嗰啲食物咧，你就會有啲會得到好重嘅一啲業報反應。
And you'll get sick.
咁你就會病。
What kind of nonsense is that?
咁呢啲係真係有啲好無稽之談嚟嘅。
You can take from the devotee's plate.
你可以咧喺奉獻者嘅碟上面咧係攞嚟到食嘅。
It's okay.
你係可以嘅。
But the tradition is you should finish everything on your plate.
咁但係咧個傳統我哋應該咧係自己食晒我哋碟上面嘅嘢。
Because if you leave prasadam on your plate, you don't do it with the intention that someone else is going to finish it, is you're going to throw it away. And that's highly offensive.
咁但係如果你食唔晒你碟上面嘢啦，人哋又唔攞嚟食嘅話咧，你就會倒咗去啦，即係呢啲際遇就會倒咗去啦。咁呢個咧係一個非常冒犯嘅一個做法。
So that was his first step in spiritual life.
咁呢個咧
To
係
eat the remnants left from the devotees.
呢個咧係 Narada Muni 係第一步啦嚇。咁佢就係咧係榮耀奉獻者、純粹奉獻者食剩嘅呢啲際遇。
In this verse, he takes the second step. Not only he was taking the maha, but he would also listen to them speak.
咁咧，所以喺今日呢一個章節入邊講到咧，佢唔單止係榮耀呢啲際遇啦，佢咧亦都會聆聽呢啲聖人所講嘅説話。
In Madhurya Kadambini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that in the early stages of our Krishna consciousness, we have to make an effort to hear mostly from the very advanced devotees.
咁 Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur 咧就曾經提到咧，就喺我哋奉愛嘅收集嘅開始，尤其是開始嘅時候啦，我哋咧要努力咧係去聆聽咧一啲非常進步嘅奉獻者嘅説話。
Because initially we are attracted because we have little faith. Prabhupada says that faith means some appreciation, some positiveness.
咁咧係因為開始嘅時候，我哋有少少嘅信心啦，俾啲信心所吸引。咁即係聖Prabhupada亦都講啦，即係話咧，我哋係被呢一啲嘢所吸引，我哋會欣賞呢一啲嘢。
But Prabhupada explained, Shraddha Shabde Vishvas Shurira Nishchoy. That faith should not remain weak. It should become strong.
咁而聖Prabhupada亦都講到呢個信念咧，唔應該咧係一直都係咁弱嘅。我哋要培養咧呢個信念咧係變得更加咧係堅強、更加強大。
Like a small flame, little bit of wind, the flame it goes off.
就好似咧一個好細嘅火焰啦，當有風一吹嘅時候咧，就變成一個大火。
So initially we have attraction, but we have to be careful to nurture and cultivate that attraction by being with advanced devotees.
咁開始嘅時候，我哋有呢個少少嘅信念啦，咁我哋要好好咁樣培養佢，令到佢咧能夠咧係能夠去長大嚇，能夠去成長。咁點樣咧？就係通過咧係同一啲進步嘅奉獻者嘅聯誼。
Because when we hear from mature devotees, they water the seed of faith.
因為咧，當我哋聆聽呢啲進步嘅奉獻者成熟嘅奉獻者嘅説話嘅時候咧，佢就會咧將我哋呢一個嘅信念嘅種子咧，就係好似幫我哋淋水咁樣，等佢長大。
And then you think, I want to be like this.
跟住我就會諗啦，我想成為好似佢咁樣。
He's very advanced. I want to be advanced like this.
佢咧係一個非常之進步嘅奉獻者，我咧想好似佢咁樣。
But there is no shortcut.
但係咧係冇捷徑嘅。
You cannot do this artificially.
我哋唔可以咧人工咁樣咧係去做呢樣嘢。
You cannot jump the queue.
你唔可以咧係爬頭，即係跳過呢一個嘅隊伍。
You can't imitate being an advanced devotee.
我哋唔可以咧模仿咧成為一個進步嘅奉獻者。
This is a gradual cultivation.
呢個係一個循序漸進嘅一個培養。
So, Prabhupada in the purport mentions that there is attraction to the name.
咁所以咧，聖帕帕要旨入邊咧係講到我哋咧係被聖名所吸引。
Krishna has many names.
Krishna 咧有好多好多嘅聖名，
Each name is given according to pastime.
每一個名咧都係根據呢個逍遙時光所俾嘅。
But of all the names, the name Krishna is the foremost.
咁但係咧喺所有呢啲聖名當中咧 ，Krishna 呢個名咧係最重要嘅。
So we are attracted to the name. Prabhupada says also we should be attracted to the fame of Krishna.
我哋咧係被 Krishna 嘅聖名所吸引啦，我哋都要咧係被佢嘅名聲所吸引。
We should be attracted to the form of Krishna.
我哋咧係要係被Krishna 嘅形象所吸引。
We should be attracted to the pastimes of
我
Krishna.
哋都應該咧係被 Krishna 嘅娛樂逍遙時光所吸引。
We should be attracted to everything that Krishna is using for his pastimes.
我哋咧都要咧應該咧係 Krishna 用喺佢所有嘅逍遙時光入邊嘅一切嘅用品咧所吸引。
And by hearing about Krishna, all these attractions are covered. We touch on every one of them.
咁當我哋去聆聽 Krishna 嘅講話嘅時候咧，所有呢啲嘢咧都係已經係包括在內。
So, Narada Muni, he was cultivating this attraction for hearing constantly.
咁所以咧 Narada Muni 咧恆常地咧都係培養佢自己係去聆聽呢一啲聖人嘅話語。
And this is mentioned earlier in the first canto.
咁咧喺第一篇嘅之前咧亦都有講過嘅。
Because the first canto of Śrimad Bhagāvatam is meant to show us how we can become qualified to hear the whole Śrimad Bhagāvatam.
因為咧聖典博迦壇第一篇咧就係話俾我哋聽咧，我哋點樣先能夠咧係有資格去聆聽成本嘅博迦壇。
Right? Śrimad Bhagāvatam doesn't begin at the first canto, it begins at the second canto.
咁其實聖典博迦壇咧係由第二篇先係真正開始嘅，並唔係第一篇。
Prabhupada compared the first canto as a little Mahabharat.
咁咧聖帕帕咧比喻咧呢個聖典博迦壇第一篇咧就好似一個迷你版嘅 Mahabharat 一樣。
It's like all the actors are being presented.
咁咧入邊嘅主角咧全部咧都係展示出嚟。
Sages of Naimisharanya.
咁咧譬如好似 Naimisharanya 森林入邊嘅聖人啦
The incarnations of Krishna.
，Krishna 嘅化身啦
Then Narada Muni and Vyas.
，Narada Muni 同埋 Vyasadeva 之間嘅對話啦。
And then you have the story of Queen Kunti.
咁跟住就係有昆蒂皇后嘅故事啦。
Then you have the passing away of Bhishmadev.
跟住咧就係有 Bhishmadev 祖父佢嘅離開啦。
Then the story of the Pandavas.
跟住就係 Pandavas 五兄弟嘅故事。
So you have the whole family tree presented.
咁咧
The
係
background story of the Śrimad
咁
Bhagavatam.
咧係成個聖典博迦壇嘅呢一個嘅家族譜啦，同埋咧係個背景咧都係喺第一篇入邊交代嘅。
The birth of Maharishi Parikshit.
咁咧 Parikshit 王嘅出生啦，
The advent of Kali.
卡里年代嘅進展啦，
Then the curse of Maharishi Parikshit.
跟住係 Parikshit 王嘅被詛咒啦。
And how he meets Shukadev Goswami.
咁咧亦都係佢點樣咧Parikshit Maharaj 點樣係遇到咧 Sukadeva Goswami。
Then they begin their conversation. Śrimad Bhagavatam begins.
跟住咧佢哋就Parikshit 王同埋 Sukadeva Goswami 嘅對話就開始啦。呢個咧亦都係聖典博迦壇嘅開始。
So every chapter of the first canto is about qualification to hear.
咁所以咧係喺第一篇嘅入邊咧嘅所講嘅嘢咧，都係話咧點我哋咧係需要啲咩資格去聆聽。
So it is said, Shringvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Ridantosti Abhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. By hearing about Krishna,
通過去聆聽 Krishna，
one accumulates spiritual credit.
咁咧一個人咧就會得到啲靈性嘅credit 點譯咧？靈性嘅 好似分數咁樣。
And this is done by Krishna himself within the heart.
咁呢個咧係由 Krishna 咧親自喺我哋內心去做嘅。
Krishna is within our heart. He is the one who is helping us make spiritual progress.
Krishna 咧喺我哋內心入邊啦 ，Krishna 係親自咧係幫助我哋咧喺靈性路途上咧係去進步。
When we chant Hare Krishna,
當我哋念誦 Hare Krishna 嘅時候，
based on how attentive we are,
咁咧就係睇下我哋有幾專心專注去念啦。
based on our mood of humility,
係睇下我哋咧係有幾咁謙卑去念。
then Krishna within the heart says, okay, I will remove these impurities.
咁咧跟住就係基於呢啲嘢啦 ，Krishna 就話好啦，我就清除你內心嘅一啲嘅污糟嘅嘢。
On our own, we can't do this.
我哋咧靠自己咧係做唔到嘅。
Krishna can just like a magician, whoop, all the impurity is gone.
Krishna 咧好似一個魔術師咁咧，將你手入邊所有啲唔好嘅嘢、污糟嘢咧，一刻咧就可以全部將佢清除晒。
So by paying attention to hearing, only hearing about Krishna, Krishna becomes very pleased and he removes all the impurities.
所以咧只需要通過咧係好專注嘅聆聽啦，咁 Krishna 咧就會好開心，被取悅啦，佢就會清除晒你所有心入邊唔好嘅嘢。
So Narada Muni explained to Vyasadeva, this is how I managed to embark on this process of pure bhakti,
咁所以咧
just by hearing.
Narada Muni 喺度咧就向 Vyasadeva 解釋啦，我即係僅咧係通過咧專注嘅聆聽咧，我咧就可以咧達到你呢個奉愛嘅最純粹嘅奉愛。
So when you hear about Krishna, the remembrance of Krishna stays with you for life.
咁當我哋去聆聽關於 Krishna 嘅嘢嘅時候咧，呢個對 Krishna 嘅呢個記憶咧就會留喺我哋嘅心入邊咧，係成世都會留喺度。
Even if you do devotional service for X number of years and you stop, you can never forget.
咁所以就算我哋咧只係做服務，可能做奉愛服務做咗一段時間幾多年都好啦，跟住停咗，但係咧呢一樣嘢咧永遠都會留喺我哋心度，係唔會忘記嘅。
We're not saying you should stop,
我哋並唔係話咧你應該去停止去做服務。
but it's mentioned previously in one of the verses that it happens that a devotee may fall from the position of bhakti.
咁但係咧喺之前嘅章節入邊亦都有提到咧，就係有陣時咧奉獻者咧會由佢嘅即係佢身處嘅呢一個位置度咧係墮落，
But you can never forget.
但係咧永遠都唔會忘記。
And at some point, you will want to return and resume your practice of bhakti.
咁所以咧喺某一點咧，佢就會翻嚟啦，就繼續佢嘅奉愛嘅修習。
We see this with quite a few devotees who leave Krishna consciousness, and then when they reach old age, they all come back.
咁咧亦都有實際上亦都有好多呢啲例子啦。有啲奉獻者咧，佢哋離開咗呢個運動啦，咁但係當佢哋年老之後咧，佢哋咧就會翻嚟。
Because they understood the key principle of Krishna consciousness is to remember Krishna at the time of death.
因為咧，佢哋都知道咧，最重要嘅一點咧，就係當我哋係離開身體死亡嗰刻嘅時候咧，我哋要記住 Krishna。
So, Narada Muni was only a little boy.
咁當時咧，Narada Muni係一個小男孩，
Then his mother died.
跟住佢嘅媽媽就死咗啦。
Now he was an orphan.
佢係一個孤兒。
And the sadhus, they went on.
啲聖人就走咗啦，繼續佢哋嘅旅程。
So he was a little boy, he was left on his own.
佢係一個細路仔啦，就得佢一個人。
He started traveling.
佢咧就開始去旅遊啦，
And meditating on Krishna all the time.
亦都咧係恆常咁樣咧係冥想住 Krishna。
There is a place up in the Himalayas.
咁又喺喜馬拉雅山上面有個地方，
It's called Badrinath.
咁咧係巴轉納。
And that place is famous for hot springs.
咁咧嗰度咧啲溫泉咧好出名嘅。
At that place, Narada Muni went into deep meditation.
咁喺嗰個地方咧，Narada Muni 咧就進行一個非常之深嘅冥想。
And in his meditation, Krishna appeared to him.
咁喺佢嘅冥想當中咧 ，Krishna 咧就喺 Narada Muni 嘅面前咧係顯現，
Within the heart.
喺個心入邊顯現。
And Narada Muni could see with his very eyes the Supreme Personality of Godhead is standing right in front of me.
咁咧，Narada Muni 用佢嘅眼睛咧，佢可以親眼睇到咧 至尊主咧 Krishna 係企喺佢嘅面前。
This is the process of bhakti.
呢個咧就係奉愛嘅過程。
Once the impurities are removed from the heart, we can see Krishna face to face.
咁當所有我哋心入邊嘅一啲嘅污糟唔好嘅嘢咧都被清除嘅時候咧，我哋就能夠咧係面對面親眼咁咧係見到 Krishna。
Otherwise, it's like looking into a mirror covered by dust. You're standing right there, but you can't see yourself.
如果唔係咧，就好似咧我哋企喺塊鏡前邊咧，但係呢塊鏡咧係被呢啲塵土咧所灰塵所覆蓋住嘅，我哋乜都睇唔到。
So Narada Muni was advanced enough to get the attention of the Supreme Lord.
咁咧 Narada Muni 當時已經係進步到一個程度咧，就係佢得到咧至尊主嘅呢一個嘅關注。
So Krishna appeared in front of him.
咁所以咧 Krishna 咧就喺佢面前咧係顯現，
And then he disappeared.
跟住即刻就消失咗啦。
Where did he go?
跟住咧 Narada Muni 咧話 Krishna 去咗邊啊？至尊主去咗邊啊？
Why did he go? That's the main question.
咁佢最主要嘅問題就係點解佢要走咧？
Krishna himself will explain to Narada Muni, you will not see me again for the rest of your life.
跟住咧至尊主咧親自同 Narada Muni 解釋就話：你呢一生咧都唔會再見到我。
And the acharyas explain why Krishna would not make himself visible again.
咁咧之前嘅之前嘅靈性導師佢就解釋咗點解 Krishna 咧係唔再喺 Narada Muni 面前咧係出現顯現。
That Narada Muni was very advanced in Krishna consciousness, but there was still some impurities.
咁當時咧 Narada Muni 咧已經係喺 Krishna 知覺入邊咧非常之進步，但係仍然有一點點嘅一啲嘅一啲唔好嘅雜質喺度。
And Krishna is 100% pure.
咁但係 Krishna 咧係100%咧係純粹嘅。
You cannot have a fraction of a percent of impurity and expect to see Krishna.
咁如果我哋仍然有一點點，雖然係好微小嘅一啲唔好嘅嘢喺我哋當中咧，我哋都唔期望咧係我哋都唔可以期望咧係見到 Krishna。
To be with Krishna means 100% pure.
如果我哋要同 Krishna 喺埋一齊，即係話咧，我哋要100%咧係純粹，
Not a single material thoughts.
唔可以有任何一點點嘅物質嘅思想，
Not a single fraction of a material desire.
唔可以有任何一點點好少嘅物質嘅慾望。
Otherwise, you cannot see Krishna.
如果唔係咧，我哋就冇辦法見到 Krishna。
You may see the devotees of Krishna,
我哋可能會見到係 Krishna 嘅奉獻者啦，
but you won't see Krishna.
但係我哋咧係見唔到 Krishna。
And if you do see Krishna, you will only see Krishna from a distance. There will be no interaction.
就算我哋見到 Krishna 咧，可能 Krishna 都係離我哋好遠，係冇交流嘅。
Understand? I remember when that Russian young lady, Braja Devi, passed away in Vrindavan in 1994.
咁喺1974年啦，有個好後生嘅俄羅斯嘅奉獻者啦 ，Braja Devi， 佢咧就係離開身體 ，Braja Lila， 佢離開身體。
So she was about to leave this world.
咁當時咧，佢已經準備咧離開呢個世界。
Her guru was sitting right next to her.
咁當時咧，佢嘅靈性導師坐喺佢隔離。
We were all sitting around the bed.
咁我哋咧其他奉獻者都圍住張床咧喺佢身邊。
Everyone was chanting.
咁每一個人咧都喺度念誦。
And he was teaching her to the last moment how to do the right thing.
咁當時佢嘅靈性導師就教佢啦，教導緊佢咧喺最後嗰一刻應該做啲乜嘢。
And at one point she said, Guru Maharaj, I have material desires.
跟住咧喺呢一刻咧，呢個奉獻者就同佢靈性導師講我仍然咧係有一個物質嘅慾望。
I mean, there was nothing left of her, just skin and bones.
咁當時咧佢已經骨瘦如柴。
He said, what material desires do you have?
咁佢嗰度就問佢：你仲有啲咩物質慾望啊？
She said, I feel like biting into a tomato.
跟住佢就講啦：我好似咧咬緊一個番茄咁樣。
He said, that's not a material desire, it's okay. Get ready to leave.
跟住佢嗰度就話：呢個唔係物質慾望嚟嘅，你要準備好要離開身體啦。
But Prabhupada says, even if you desire to have one rasgulla, which is not offered to Krishna, one rasgulla, you cannot enter the spiritual world.
咁樣聖爸爸講過啦，你如果只係期望得到一粒 Rashagula 即係嗰啲甜波嚇，但係冇供奉俾 Krishna 嘅。如果你想得到一樣嘢咧，你都唔可以進入呢個靈性世界。
If you desire to bite into one jiaozi which is not offered to Krishna, cannot enter spiritual world.
One 餃子，You're speaking Mandarin 咁樣即係如果你係希望咧係得食一粒餃子，但係冇供奉俾 Krishna 嘅，你都唔可以進入呢個靈性世界。
So we begin the process and we get purification. No doubt about this.
咁我哋開始咗呢一個嘅收集啦，我哋得到淨化啦。咁呢個咧係毫無疑問嘅。
We have some faith.
我哋咧有一啲嘅信心。
We associate with the devotees.
我哋咧同奉獻者聯誼。
We take shelter of the spiritual
我
master.
哋咧係託庇俾靈性導師。
We engage in devotional
我哋
service.
咧係參與呢個奉愛服務。
But we have all these impurities in the heart that we have to get rid of.
但我哋咧內心仍然有好多呢啲嘅雜質啦，啲唔好嘢咧，我哋要清除晒佢。
And when the purities are removed from the heart, the taste to hear about Krishna increases manyfold.
咁當我哋咧清除晒我哋內心嘅呢啲雜質嘅時候咧，我哋咧去聆聽呢一啲嘅Krishna 嘅逍遙時光嘅時候咧，呢個品味咧就會增加好多倍。
That's when we become very steady.
咁咧喺嗰一刻咧，我哋就變得非常之穩定。
We may still have desires, but they are mostly in the mind. They're not physical.
咁我哋可能仲有一啲嘅物質慾望，但係呢啲咧已經喺我哋嘅心念入邊，就唔係喺物質嘅層面上面。
Which is natural. When the body is limited, everything is up here.
咁當我哋嘅身體係受限制嘅時候咧，我哋嘅心意就會有好多呢啲嘢出現，呢個好自然嘅。
But we are not yogis.
但我哋咧唔係瑜伽師。
Yogis control their bodies, they control their breathing.
瑜伽師咧，佢哋控制佢哋嘅身體啦，控制佢哋嘅呼吸，
They control their minds.
佢哋控制佢哋嘅心意，
They control their
佢哋
senses.
控制佢哋嘅感官。
But material desires are still sitting in the heart.
但係咧，佢哋嘅心入邊咧，仍然有呢啲物質慾望。
The best example is Hiranyakashipu.
咁咧，最好嘅例子咧就係 Hiranyakashipu。
He became a huge yogi.
佢咧成為一個非常之偉大嘅
So
瑜
much
伽
so there
師，
was nothing left.
直至佢身體咧乜都冇剩翻㗎啦，
No flesh,
冇肉嘅，
no heart.
冇心，
There was nothing.
乜都冇，
There was just a soul.
淨係剩翻個靈魂。
And he was holding the whole universe because of that amazing austerities he was performing.
佢哋呢個所做嘅苦行實在太犀利啦，成個宇宙咧都喺佢掌控之下。
But what was his motive?
但佢嘅目的係咩呢？
I want to be immortal.
佢咧想成為長生不死。
Why you want to become
點
immortal?
解佢想唔死呢？
So I can compete with Lord Vishnu.
咁啊，佢咧就可以咧係同主 Vishnu 咧競爭，
You cannot.
但我哋咧係唔可以嘅。
So even though he had performed amazing austerities, they were completely in a mode of ignorance and passion.
咁雖然佢咧係做一個咁偉大嘅苦行啦，但係佢完全咧係處於呢一個激情同埋愚昧屬性當中。
In the 5th canto of Śrimad Bhagāvatam, it's mentioned Tapo divyam prutakayena sattvam shuddhed brahmashokem fanantam. It means if you're going to perform austerities, you got to perform austerities for the sake of purification.
咁所以咧喺聖典博迦談第5篇入邊講到啦，如果我哋要做苦行嘅話咧，我哋係要個目的咧做啲苦行咧，就係要去淨化我哋自己。
Because everyone's doing austerities.
因為其實每一個人咧都做苦行嘅，
Every single human being is performing
每
austerities
任何一個人咧都其實喺度做緊苦行。
more than ever before.
咁咧係比以前咧係更加多。
Before, people they had a kind of a, easy life.
咁咧以前嘅人咧，佢哋人生好容易嘅啫。
But the more industrialization, the more consumerism, the more austerities.
咁隨住呢個工業化啦，隨住我呢個消費主義越嚟越強大啦，咁咧人咧就要做嘅苦行咧就更加多。
So you have to choose austerities in a mode of ignorance or austerities in a mode of goodness.
咁我哋要選擇啦，究竟我哋做呢啲苦行係喺呢個愚昧屬性當中去做啊，定係善良屬性當中去做？
We were discussing the day before yesterday about book distribution.
咁咧喺前日咧，我哋喺度討論咧係派書呢樣嘢。
That nowadays people they prefer to read on the phone.
咁咧現今嘅人咧，佢中意喺個手機嗰度去讀書。
Why?
點解咧？
Because they don't have time.
因為咧佢哋冇時間。
So if they don't have time, you think what's the quality of their reading on their phones?
咁你可以諗下，如果佢哋冇時間，佢哋喺佢手機嗰度去讀書，即係佢哋呢個嘅品質會係點樣？
Like when you post an article, you have to mention 1.5 minutes reading time.
1.5 minutes。
People they have to know
Okay,
how long is it
yeah.
going to take me to read this.
咁咧就好似佢哋睇一篇文章咧，佢哋就會諗啦，我要幾耐先睇完呢篇文咧？就係1.5分鐘。
So some devotee says, well, it's difficult to distribute books in China, so we should have all the books on the phone.
咁咧有啲奉獻者就提議啦，哇！喺大陸咧好難派書啊，即係實體書。咁我哋應該咧將所有書咧都放喺手機啲電子版，等我哋可以睇。
Can be useful sometime.
咁當然有時係有用嘅。
But you can't study Shastra on the phone.
但係咧，你唔可以咧係通過手機咧嚟到去研讀呢個經典。
You can't focus.
你咧冇辦法專注。
There's no attention to actually what is being written there.
因為咧我哋冇辦法咧係即係全神貫注咁樣係睇手機上面嘅呢啲嘢。
So Vaisheshika Prabhu came here, right?
威舒奇伯伯咧早前咧係嚟過香港。
And he made the point that people now are going back to reading books.
咁咧佢就提咗一點咧，就係現代嘅人咧，佢哋咧就翻轉頭啊，佢哋讀書一本書。
If people want to do serious hearing, they won't look at the phone, they will open a book.
如果佢哋咧呢啲人係想好認真咁樣去閱讀嘅話咧，呢啲人咧佢哋會打一本書，就唔會由呢個手機嗰度睇。
So everything goes through phases.
咁咧每一樣嘢都有唔同嘅階段。
You know, for a certain number of years, everybody was in a rush, so everything was on the phone.
咁咧喺某個階段咧，所有人咧都好趕嘅，非常之趕急嘅，所有嘢咧都喺手機上面做嘅。
But then people realize, I'm not getting anywhere with this.
咁但係人咧就發現咧，咁樣做咧其實佢乜都得唔到。
So again, they slow down, they go back to the books.
於是咧佢哋就慢翻落嚟啦，就係去睇翻呢個書。
So more than ever before, people actually read books.
咁咧，所以比起以前任何一個時間咧，而家啲人咧係更加咧係會讀書，真係一本書。
And we know for a fact that in mainland China, when people buy a Bhagavad Gita, I can guarantee you personally, they will read the book.
咁所以咧，我可以保證就係有一點，就喺大陸咧，如果任何一個人咧，佢哋買一本《博家梵歌》嘅話咧，我可以保證佢哋翻去咧都會讀呢本書嘅。
Even people who are not devotees who read the Bhagavad Gita, when you meet them, they give you the quote. In this chapter, this verse, Krishna, can you explain?
咁咧，如果你喺大陸遇到一啲人，佢哋讀過呢一本書咧，就算佢哋唔係奉獻者，都唔係讀過《博家梵歌》，佢都會咧係即刻話俾你聽，喺《博家梵歌》第幾章第幾節 ，Krishna 講過呢啲嘢喎，你可唔可以解釋俾我聽？緊個意思係乜嘢啊？
So instead of saying, I don't have time,
咁我哋就唔好話我哋冇時間啦。
when you say, I don't have time, it means you have other priorities.
如果你話你冇時間，或者即係話有其他更加重要嘅嘢你要去做，
But we have to take the time.
但我哋咧必須要付出呢啲時間。
That's why we go to bed early so we can wake up early.
咁所以我哋咧會早睡早起，
We don't go to bed at midnight.
我哋咧唔會半夜先去瞓覺。
Isn't it? We go to bed at 9:30 latest.
我哋最遲咧9點半要瞓覺啦，
So we can be up at 4.
咁所以我哋咧4點鐘就可以起身，
So we can chant all our rounds.
我哋咧可以練我哋所有嘅圈。
And then you look at your watch, it's only 6:30.
哇！練完之後好開心，只係6點半啫，
I can read.
跟住我就可以讀書啦，
Or I can listen to a
或者
lecture.
我哋可以咧係聽課。
By the time it's breakfast, you're fully empowered.
跟住咧，當食早餐嘅時候咧，你就已經充滿咗力量。
So this is the austerity that we perform for the sake of purification.
咁呢個咧就係我哋為咗係得到淨化而所做嘅苦行。
Tapa.
苦行就係 tapa。
Tapa means fire.
tapa 咧其實意思係火咁解。
Tapa, we translate it as austerity, but actually it means fire.
咁 tapa 呢個字咧其實意思係火啦，但我哋咧翻譯成為苦行。
So we perform tapa austerities because it burns the impurities in the heart.
咁我哋咧係從事呢個苦行啦 ，tapa 咧就係因為咧佢會燃 燃燒我哋清除我哋內心嘅呢啲唔好嘅雜質。
But there are millions of people who also wake up at 4 o'clock.
咁但係咧有成千上萬人咧，佢都會朝頭早4、5鐘會起身。
You can see them. You change japa, you look at the window, they're already getting into the car and get onto the freeway and get stuck in the traffic.
咁咧好多人咧，佢一樣係清晨4、5鐘起身嘅，咁你就喺度念誦啦。咁你就會見到啲人咧，佢哋咧就匆匆忙忙去搭車咧，就係喺呢個交通擠塞嘅狀態之下咧，趕住翻工。
5:30, subway is packed.
咁咧清晨5點半咧，高速公路咧已經係塞車㗎啦。
That's also austerity.
呢啲咧都係苦行嚟嘅。
Some people sometimes they criticize devotees. You guys never work.
咁有啲人咧就批評奉獻者啦，你哋從來都唔做嘢嘅。
I remember in Australia we used to have breakfast at 9:30 in the morning.
咁咧喺澳洲嘅時候咧，我哋咧係9點半食早餐嘅。
9:30 people already work 3 hours.
咁咧，但係好多人咧，其實9點半嘅時候，我哋已經係翻工翻咗3個鐘頭。
And we're taking prasadam.
但我哋咧亦當時咧係喺度食緊早餐，榮耀
Then
緊
we
祭祀。
start doing service at 10 o'clock.
咁我哋10點鐘就開始做服務。
But actually we started the day at 4.
但係其實咧，我哋係4、5鐘開始做嘅。清
Because
晨
it's not just tapa, it's tapa divyam. It's divine austerity.
咁但係因為呢個唔單止係苦行，呢個係一個神聖嘅苦行。
It's meant to uplift the consciousness to pure consciousness.
呢個咧係提升我哋嘅意識咧，去到呢個純粹嘅意識。
So, Narada Muni, in his meditation, he attracts the attention of Krishna and then Krishna disappears.
咁咧Narada Muni 咧通過佢嘅冥想啦，吸引咗 Krishna 出現啦，但係只係一刻鐘咧 Krishna 就即刻消失咗啦。
What would you do?
咁你會點樣做咧
Krishna comes in front of you and disappears.
？Krishna 咧喺你面前出現喎，但係突然之間又消失咗。
Krishna loves doing this to his devotees.
Krishna 咧好中意咧係對佢啲奉獻者咧咁樣做嘅。
It's one of his favorite pastimes.
呢個咧亦都係其中一個咧最吸引嘅逍遙時光。
Yeah, he does that with the gopis.
佢咧就係對牧牛姑娘咧都係咁樣做。
Because Krishna wants to increase the intensity of feelings of separation.
因為咧 Krishna 咧係想增加奉獻者對佢呢個分離嘅愛嘅呢個嘅情感。
So Narada Muni saw Krishna, now he doesn't see him. Where are you? Where are you? Where
所以
are
當
you?
Narada Muni 見到 Krishna， 但係跟住 Krishna 消失咗嘅時候咧 ，Narada Muni 就喺度不斷咁揾，究竟 Krishna 你去咗邊啊？你去咗邊啊？
And especially in this material world, bhakti is based on the principle of feeling separation from Krishna.
咁尤其是喺呢個年代啦，咁奉愛咧就係建基於咧就係同 Krishna 呢個分離嘅呢一個嘅愛呢個情感上邊。
In the prayers to the 6 Goswamis,
咁咧喺6個 Goswami 對對至尊主嘅祈禱入邊
yeah,
禱文。
the Goswami Astakam.
I think in the songbook there should be.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
prayer. No, it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Srinivasacharya, he wrote the Goswami Astakam.
咁咧 Śrimad Goswami 咧，佢就寫咗呢一個6個 Goswami 嘅呢一個嘅禱文。
So he wrote, Hey Radhe Vrajavike Chalalite, Hey Nanda Sutta. He said, Where are you? Radharani, where are you? The gopis, where are you? Are you on the bank of the Jamuna? Are you at Govardhan? Are you with Nanda? Where are you? I can't find you.
咁咧喺呢一度咧就佢就咁樣寫啦。Radharani 你喺邊啊？牧牛姑娘你喺邊啊？你係咪去咗呢一個 Yamuna 河後邊啊？你係咪喺個森林後邊啊？我揾唔到你，我喺邊度都揾唔到你哋。
You see, the meditation of the Goswamis of Vrindavan is so intense that they are with Krishna all the time, and yet they look for him.
咁咧就係呢啲喺呢個禱文入邊就可以睇到啦。Goswami 佢哋對 Krishna 嘅情感係幾咁嘅強烈。其實佢哋恒常係同 Krishna 喺埋一齊，但係佢哋好似睇唔到 Krishna 咁，佢哋不斷喺度揾緊 Krishna 你喺邊啊？你喺邊啊？
Prabhupada said, if you say I found Krishna, you're not a devotee.
Prabhupada 講過啦，如果一個奉獻者話我揾到 Krishna 啦，咁跟住 Prabhupada 就話你唔係一個真正嘅奉獻者。
No. Just that feeling of separation, I don't have Krishna, it means you are with Krishna.
咁即係如果你有呢個情感就係、揾唔到 Krishna， 我同 Krishna 係分離嘅。咁你咧，如果你有呢個情感嘅話，你就係一個真正嘅奉獻者。
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has qualified this feeling of separation actually superior than being with Krishna all the time.
咁主一坦爺 Prabhu 亦都係證實咗呢一點啦。我哋同 Krishna 呢個分離嘅情感咧，係比恆常同 Krishna 喺埋一齊嘅情感咧，係更加咧係高階嘅。
And that's why Lord Chaitanya's associate, they want to come with him. Hey, we want to experience this. Can we come with you?
咁所以咧，主一坦爺嘅同遊咧就會成日都好想咧，就係同主一坦爺喺埋一齊咧，就我哋可唔可以都感受呢一個情感啊？
So that's the whole meaning of the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
呢個咧亦都係我哋去念誦 Maha Mantra Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 嘅真正嘅意義。
Prabhupada said, you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in a mood of child crying for mother.
咁咧，聖爸爸講過咧，當我哋念誦呢個聖名嘅時候咧，我哋嘅心緒就好似一個小朋友咧，佢咧係好無助咁樣咧，係呼喚住佢嘅喺度喊住咁呼喚佢嘅媽媽。
Where's my mother? Where's my mother? Where's my mother?
我嘅媽媽喺邊啊？我嘅媽媽喺邊啊？
We have to chant in that mood of desperation.
我哋咧係要用一個好絕望嘅心緒咧嚟到去念誦。
Not the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
就唔係一邊睇手機，跟住一邊喺度念。
Wow. See, Jashvi knows what I'm talking about. Isn't it?
咁我哋
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
我哋一路念一路偷雞，偷地喺度睇手機。
Everyone laugh. Everybody is guilty.
咁每一個人喺度笑，即係每一個人咧都曾經做過呢樣嘢。
Now we have to be with Krishna, even though it's difficult to control the mind. We have to hear the holy name so we can develop this taste to
咁咧，
hear.
雖然控制我哋嘅心意有困難啦，但我哋咧都要係聆聽，專心去聆聽啦，要培養呢個品味。
Even if we very resolute today I will really pay attention to the holy name.
咁我哋咧今日就話我要真正好專注咁樣咧，係去念誦呢個聖名。
We chant 10 mantras.
We chant
10 mantras. 10 Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
咁我哋咧念10個聖名，
And the mind is gone.
跟住咧我哋心意就走咗啦。
Maybe not even 10, maybe 2 mantras.
可能咧冇10個添啊，2個就走咗啦。
All over the place.
跟住咧，我哋嘅心意咧就喺所有地方咧不斷咁遊蕩。
Yeah. And then we finish 16 rounds. We have no idea what we've been chanting.
咁跟住我哋就算念完16個圈，我哋都其實都唔知緊有念緊啲乜嘢。
So there is a difference when we look at the world that we live in today and the amount of distraction that we have compared to people who lived thousands of years ago who had zero distraction.
咁所以咧，我哋咧係而家身處嘅呢一個嘅世界啦，係充滿咗呢一啲嘅令我哋分心嘅嘢。咁咧就比較起咧好耐之前嘅呢個世界咧，當時嘅人咧係冇任何嘢令佢哋分身嘅，係好分心嘅，即係騷擾佢哋嘅，係好唔一樣。
That's why people had very sharp memory.
所以點解以前嘅人咧，佢哋咧啲記憶係非常之敏鋭嘅？
Because there was nothing else going on in the mind.
因為咧佢哋心意入邊咧係咩都冇嘅，係好
So they
專
could
注。
remember everything.
所以佢哋咧咩都記得嘅。
Yeah, they heard something once, that's it.
佢哋咧只需要聆聽一次咧，
Memorize.
佢就會記得噶啦。Yes.
We were telling the devotees in Chanzhou, because me and Tirtharaj Prabhu were there reciting some shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita.
咁咧喺泉州之前，我哋嘅聚會啦，咁 Prabhu 同埋 Tirtharaj Prabhu 咧兩個就喺度念一啲博家梵歌入邊嘅詩節。
So the devotees said, wow, how do you remember all these verses?
咁跟住啲朋友就好驚訝，點解你可以記得晒呢啲嘅詩節嘅咧？
So we told them, these brahmachari days.
咁跟住咧，我哋就講啦，因為我哋喺在精手生嘅時候，
When you're a brahmachari, there's nothing going on in your life. Nothing.
因為咧，當你作為一個精手生咧，係你人生入邊咧係咩都冇嘅。
You get up, you go to Mangalati, you chant your rounds, you do service, take prasadam, finished.
咁你朝早起身啦，去掹吉啦，跟住念誦啦，跟住榮耀祭餘啦， 跟住做服務咧就係咁啦。
And when you're 20 years old, the mind is very sharp.
咁當你20歲嘅時候，年青嘅時候咧，你嘅心意咧係非常之敏鋭嘅。
When you are 50, 60, you want to learn shlokas, very, very difficult.
咁當你去到50歲、60歲，你先去學習呢啲詩節嘅話咧，就非常非常之困難。
So we used to memorize one verse a day.
咁當時我哋咧係每日咧係會係去念一個詩節。
And once you learn them, once you memorize one verse, it stays with you for life. You will never lose it.
咁如果你當時你學識咗一個詩節嘅話咧，你就成世都會記得㗎，永遠都唔會忘記嘅。
Even if you remember just a few words and you can get the actual meaning.
就算你只係記得幾個字咧，你都會記得個真正嘅意義係乜，個意思係乜嘢。
That's why we have to do things in the early stages of Krishna consciousness and not waste time.
咁所以咧，我哋喺開始收集嘅時候咧，就要係好好咁去努力去做呢啲嘢啦，就唔好浪費我哋嘅時間。
Hare Krishna. Questions? Yes.
Yeah, because I come here.
I'll have a chair tomorrow.
Yeah. When you were saying, yeah, sorry, when you were saying about always
this is too
remembering
soft.
Krishna by his pastimes and
Yes.
everything. Yes, that's why I come to the morning classes so that I have an
So you
opportunity
can hear.
to hear.
Yeah.
But after the morning classes, I don't know how. I mean, I do stay in the temple, but there's not really any association with devotees to talk about Krishna. Meaning, even at lunchtime, they talk about everything else except Krishna. And I just wondered how to approach a devotee. I mean, do we have to like make a private association to talk about Krishna? Or should we always think once we step into the temple the conversation should be Krishna?
Well,
個問題就係頭先提到就係話我哋要無時無刻去聆聽 Krishna 啦，講述 Krishna 嘅嘢啦。所以我嚟聽早課啦嚇，咁就係聽 Krishna 嘅逍遙時光啦。咁但係之後咧喺廟，就算係甚至廟堂都好啦，咁好多時就揾唔到奉獻者去聯誼啦嚇，亦都就算喺食午飯嘅時候咧，咁可能好多人講嘅嘢咧都唔同 Krishna 係冇關係嘅。咁點樣先可以得到呢啲聯誼咧？點樣先可以咧係無時無刻咧都係講述 Krishna 咧？
Srila Prabhupada designed the program for devotees every day.
咁咧，聖巴巴咧就係設計呢一個奉獻者每日所做嘅呢一個嘅節目嘅程序。
And the hearing part of the day, according to Prabhupada's plan, is morning and evening.
咁所以咧根據聖巴巴嘅設計咧，就係奉獻者就喺朝早同埋夜晚咧就係聆聽嘅。
He especially mentioned hearing Śrimad Bhagāvatam in the morning, hearing Bhagavad Gita in the evening, and if devotees live in the ashram, they read Krishna book before going to bed.
咁所以咧就係朝早我哋會聆聽聖典報家談啦，夜晚就會讀報家梵歌啦。咁而如果係住喺修院嘅奉獻者咧，佢就喺臨瞓之前咧就讀 Krishna book。
But during the day, it's all service.
咁但係喺一個日嘅中間呢，其他嘅時間咧就係服務。
Okay, I remember when we used to, after the morning program, we have service to do in the kitchen, or we have service to do in the temple. So devotees, they get to communicate with each other, and sometimes it really get out of hand, especially in the kitchen. We start talking about politics and talking about this one and that one, and the views.
食完早餐之後咧，咁奉獻者就有唔同嘅服務啦，可能有啲喺廚房啦，有啲可能喺廟堂啦，等等等等。咁有陣時咧就會失控啦。咁有陣時尤其是喺廚房啦，咁好多時就會講啲政治啊、新聞啊等等其他嘅嘢。
Well, it means we don't have the taste.
咁即係話咧，我哋冇呢個品味。
I mean, you have to be pretty advanced to speak about Krishna all day.
因為咧，我哋要好進步咧，成日先可以咧係無時無刻咧每日都喺度講 Krishna 嘅嘢。
Yeah, it takes maturity.
係需要成熟嘅。
To have nothing else in your mind but Krishna consciousness.
因為即係話咧喺你嘅心入邊咧係咩都冇，淨係得 Krishna。
That's a high level of Krishna consciousness.
呢個咧係一個Krishna 一個好高階嘅層面。
Otherwise, people they need to talk about life because we don't live on an island.
因為如果唔係嘅話咧，人咧就要講佢哋嘅生活係點樣，因為我哋咧並唔係住喺一個孤島上邊。
You know, people, they have issues, they have personal things going on.
咁每一個人咧都有一啲即係有事情要處理啦，有好多佢自己要面對嘅嘢啦。
Then you can have other gathering that are focusing on hearing especially.
咁我哋可能有啲聚會咧，佢淨係專注喺聆聽嗰度嘅。
That's what people do mostly when they're in the holy dam.
咁所以咧，點解啲人點解奉獻者會去呢個聖地
Isn't it? Government retreat all day.
？Too intense, too intense, difficult. Even for
All
me,
day, morning
all
until
day.
night.
Yeah, once you wake up, open your eyes and then
Yeah.
until the last minute, the kirtan, end with Sachinanda Maharaj kirtan. Oh, it's too much, too intense.
I mean, devotees, they go and spend Kartik in Vrindavan or Mayapur. It's 24 hours a day.
咁好多時奉獻者去到聖地啦，巴係蒲啊、便打份啊，尤其是喺卡特月份咧，係24小時不斷嘅。
So Bhagāvatam Prabhu was explaining one year, I remember listening to a lecture, he said, when you arrive in Vrindavan, so you've just landed at the Delhi airport and you take the taxi to
Yeah.
Vrindavan, your mind is still in Hong Kong. Your
Yeah.
body has arrived.
Yes，咁所以 Bhagāvatam Prabhu 有一次咧，佢咧喺一個講法入邊咧就提到啦，譬如我哋由香港出發啦去聖地，咁我哋就搭飛機啦，降落喺德里嘅機場啦，跟住咧就坐車去哥布丹山。咁但係我哋個身體喺聖地，但我哋嘅心意仍然喺香港。
So it takes a few days for the mind to catch up with the body.
咁所以咧，我哋嘅心意咧，用幾日時間咧，先可以咧追得到我哋嘅身體。
Yeah, you're still looking at your phone, what's going on.
咁我哋仍然會睇手機咧，究竟睇下發生咗咩事。
Then you spend 1 month, you are completely immersed. There is nothing else going on in the whole universe except what's going on in the holy dam.
咁跟住咧，你就花1個月嘅時間喺聖地嗰度啦，你就所有嘢呢個世界呢個地球任何一個地方發生嘅嘢都唔理啦，淨係咧你淨係專注咧喺聖地入邊所做嘅嘢。
But now it's time to go back.
跟住咧你就要翻屋企啦。
So he said, already sitting in the taxi going to the airport, right?
Yeah， 跟住你咧就坐的士就去佢間機場走啦要。
The body is going away.
你個身體離開緊，
The mind is still at Govardhan.
但係你個心意仍然停留喺哥布丹。
Then he said, you get on the plane.
跟住你就搭飛機啦。
The mind is already catching up with.
跟住你嘅心意咧已經追到你嘅身體。
By the time you land in Hong Kong, the mind is complete. That's it. Back home.
跟住當你降落香港機場嘅時候，你就乜都完啦，我哋咧翻屋企啦，要做嘢啦。
This is the reality.
呢個咧係
You have to be
事實係
very
咁樣。
mature to just Krishna Katha or nothing, everything related to Krishna consciousness. You have to be very mature.
我哋如果日要無時無刻都記住 Krishna 啦，所有嘢都係同 Krishna 有關咧，必須要一個非常成熟同埋好進步嘅奉獻
One
者
time,
先
Srila
可以。
Prabhupada's servant, Prabhupada called him and said, go and see what's going on in the kitchen. There were devotees cooking Prabhupada's lunch.
咁有一次咧，聖帕巴就同佢僕人講啦：你去廚房睇下發生咩事啊！佢哋有奉獻者煮緊，即係為帕帕煮午餐。
Prabhupada could hear them talk.
跟住咧，帕帕聽到佢哋講緊嘢。
And Prabhupada could pick up just on the sound of the voice that they were not talking about Krishna.
帕巴咧就只需要聽，即係佢唔需要知道聽到佢哋講嘅內容，只係佢哋講嘢嘅即係個聲音咧，佢已經知道咧呢啲奉獻者唔係講緊 Krishna 嘅嘢。
So Prabhupada sent his servant to tell them, stop this. This gossiping will ruin our movement.
跟住咧，聖帕巴就叫佢僕人咧，就同呢啲奉獻者講：你唔要停止去講呢啲嘢，呢啲咁嘅即係喺度即係gossip 係即係一啲講是非嘅嘢咧就會毀咗我哋成個嘅運動。
It's called Gramya Katha. Useless talks.
呢啲係冇用嘅説話嚟嘅。
But, when you have so much going on in the temple, the delivery guy with the vegetables and the postman and the bank and the phone calls and organizing this, you have to have some.
Yeah.
But it is, in one sense, indirectly related to devotional service.
咁但係喺廟堂入邊好多事情發生啦，有人送菜啊，有個郵差嚟送信啊，去銀堂啊，要安排好多節目啊，咁呢啲唔係直接同 Krishna 有關，但係都係間接有關係嘅。
And I think if anybody gets into really, really mundane talks, then someone else will say, okay, enough.
咁所以如果有啲人真係講一啲非常之世俗 真係純粹係世俗嘅嘢嘅話咧，咁咧奉獻者就應該提出夠啦，要停止啦。
So, I hope it helps.
Yes, it did. It did. Thank you. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Actually, I just spent 1 month in Govardhan.
I know.
And then one day suddenly it's November and December. Okay. And then suddenly one day I remember I was thinking, who become the new president of USA? I didn't know actually. I had not cut off from everything. And then I searched on the internet. Oh my God.
Yeah, I did the same last year for Kartik. I was in Hangzhou and I did a fasting. 1 month, no social media. Nothing.
咁咧，舊年我喺杭州卡直月份嘅時候咧，我都係做 so nice
1 month.
so nice。咁咧就係
I couldn't believe it.
我嗰個苦行咧就係1個月唔上呢一個社交平台。
It's like I had a new life.
咁咧就好似我有一個新生命咁樣。
Nothing was important.
咁咧冇一樣嘢係重要嘅。
And as a matter of fact, before that month began and after that month, nothing has changed. It was the same mess everywhere.
咁咧就呢個月開始之前同呢個月開始完結之後咧，其實都係冇任何嘅改變，都係一片混亂。
Yeah. It really consumes your mind, you know.
佢咧其實只係咧喺度消耗緊你嘅心意。
And the result of that is you don't get taste for hearing.
結果咧就我哋咧係得唔到呢一個聆聽嘅品味。
I mean, I'm just impressed nobody fell asleep during the class.
咁我好感動，因為冇人咧瞓着咗，喺我講課嘅時候冇人瞓着咗。
Anything else? Or are we over time?
Overtime.
We're over time. Okay.
20 minutes already.
Really?
Yes. So it's okay. It's okay. We don't have any particular activity.
All right.
It's okay.
Okay. Grantaraj Śrimad Bhagāvatam ki jai,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nara Muni ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna.